Hi, lovely humans. My name is Nandi and welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we are going to be talking about how to be vulnerable. And this is a topic that I love because this is something that is just so hard to do. So hopefully these tips will help you. I have 4 tips. Okay, I do have a disclaimer for this video because like all of my videos, if you are not into self-help or if you are not into taking accountability for your actions or digging deeper to really understand why you do some of the things that you do, or why you behave in the way that you behave, then this channel might not be for you. Obviously, I love to do, the drinking things and I love to make fun videos and things like that, but we can still have fun, but we also are all about growth and we are about expansion and we are about learning ourselves and being the best version that we could be. So if you are not into that, then you should probably check out these other videos that I have that I'm going to link right up here, and go ahead and strap in because baby, you need this work. Let us go on with tip number 1. Okay, so this may seem like it has nothing to do with being vulnerable, but the first tip is to don't ignore red flags. And I say don't ignore red flags because a lot of the times, a lot of the things that are stopping people from being vulnerable is the people that they are opening up to. So I see a lot of people, for example, want to be softer and want to break down their barriers, but they are trying to do that with shitty people. For example, relationships, because that's just the easiest to talk about. If you know that your partner is not the best at communication, because being communicative is also extremely important, and you know that they are just not the type that can handle that emotionally, then that is just not the person that you can be vulnerable with. I saw this meme that I had to post on my story the other day, and it said, my problem is I want to see how red the flag can get. And while it is hilarious, that is also what people do. Like, they see a red flag and they're just like, nah, from jump, okay? So don't ignore red flags. If someone is constantly inconsistent, especially with how they show up for you, that is not the person that you should be opening up to. I have a video on attachment styles. If you are with someone who has an avoidant attachment style, but they are not actively trying to work on that to become secure, that is probably not the person that you should be trying to be vulnerable with. All that is going to happen is you are going to open up and they are going to view that as too much closeness. And so they in return are going to pull away. This first tip is the stepping stone to all the other tips. Because if you sit here with inconsistent people and you want to open up and share more and be more of yourself, but that person already has a bad track running like a track star, baby, that's not, you can't open up to someone and expect different results. Tip number 2 is to start with your friends or your family. You want to start slow. Usually you cannot be vulnerable with people that you don't trust. So if you are in a fresh relationship or you are getting to know a new friend, it is harder to open up with them because you are still establishing trust. Use that time instead to practice with existing friends and existing family. If you're not comfortable opening up to individuals, use that time to figure out why, like what makes you so scared. Also, another reason why you should use your family and friends first is because it will be a lot easier to try to communicate what you need. And that is really all being vulnerable is. It is acknowledging feelings that you feel, but speaking on it in that moment, having the courage to stand up for yourself, having the courage to show up for yourself. So when you use family and friends that you are already comfortable with and already have a dynamic with, it is a lot easier to express your needs. Tip number 3 is to heal your past wounds and traumas. Ultimately, the choice to heal is on you. And if you constantly go through life afraid to break down barriers that you have built, or you're constantly afraid of getting hurt, you're constantly afraid of being loved, then at the end of your life, whose fault is that? You've got to take accountability for your actions. And the final tip I have for becoming more vulnerable is to know yourself. Obviously, trying to be a more vulnerable person is extremely uncomfortable. I mean, all this shit is uncomfortable. Self-growth in itself is uncomfortable. And that's why I always say you have to get used to being uncomfortable, because if you're not, it's just gonna make it that much harder. If you are only scraping the surface and not even being honest with yourself, I mean, you could throw the fucking vulnerability out the window because it's not gonna happen. So really dig deep, get uncomfortable. But also, I want to note, do not force it. Like, don't force yourself to be vulnerable. If you truly just have, like, I mean, the walls are up to here, don't force vulnerability, because then you will just begin to develop a lot of negative emotions when you think of vulnerability that should not be associated with that. So there is a time and a place to be vulnerable. I'm not saying go on a first date with someone and just spill your deepest, darkest secrets and like tell them all your childhood traumas. But, you know, I am saying that eventually, with you being vulnerable, it will lead to a deeper connection with people. It will lead to a more intimate connection with people. And it will encourage others to also want to be vulnerable with you. And I really try to give you tips that will really help. But ultimately, it is up to you to do the work. So that is the end of this video. May we both go out there and be vulnerable together. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.